This is part 4 of handling your car accident case without a lawyer, without going to court. And in this section, we're going to be talking about negotiating property damage after an accident. One of the first things you'll probably be doing, besides getting medical treatment, is negotiating the property damage for your case. So in this section, we're going to be talking about different terms of the vocabulary you might hear from the insurance adjuster, first steps in negotiating that claim, getting property damage estimates, other property damage. There's also other things you can recover, like loss of use, rental, diminution of value of your vehicle. Like the other sections, there's a disclaimer here. I'm not giving legal advice. This is just a general guide. And by watching this, you do not become a client of mine. Also, I practice in California, so this is going to be relevant to California in 2020. It changes for each state and it changes per year, so you need to double check all that. Finally, who am I? I'm Jonathan Howell. I'm an attorney, been practicing over 10 years and have a lot of experience with car accident cases. Okay, let's talk about some terms here. Comp or comprehensive is an insurance that covers your vehicle or damage to your vehicle caused by events like theft or vandalism, but not collision or car crash related damage. And to be clear, a lot of these terms are sort of made up insurance terms, and the best place to really check is in your insurance policy, but this is generally the way it breaks down. Collision coverage covers your vehicle in the event that it's in an accident with another vehicle, and it includes repairs or if the car needs to be replaced. Liability only means you only have coverage for the vehicle damage that you do to another person's car. So if you have liability only and you don't have collision, that means you don't have coverage for your vehicle. If the other person is not at fault, your insurance company will not fix your car if you have liability only. If you have rental coverage or rental reimbursement, the insurance company will pay for you to get a rental vehicle while yours is being repaired or evaluated. And often there's a limited daily rate. A deductible is the amount that you have to pay up front when you're getting your car repaired, oftentimes. And sometimes you can get it waived if the crash is clearly not your fault. Policy is the insurance document or contract that lists the different coverage and the definitions and the terms. So that's an important document to review. And if you can't find it, because most people just throw it away or don't misplace it, you can call up the insurance company and they'll send you a copy. Loss of use. Loss of use refers to the loss or inability of you to use your vehicle. And it comes up a lot, especially if you have a fancy car or a car that you use for work or something like that. You can claim loss of use. It's a little bit like getting a rental vehicle. Diminution of value. That refers to the drop in value in your car because it's been in an accident. So if you want to sell your car later, the buyer would know it was in an accident and you would get less money for the car. Diminution of value is important, and oftentimes you do need some sort of vehicle appraiser who's experienced and can write a report for you, and it has to make sense. And obviously, it comes up a lot more on high-end vehicles as opposed to low-end vehicles. Total loss. Total loss means that the cost to repair the car is more than the value of the car. And there's different formulas to compute this. Some insurance companies use formulas that like maybe just 80%. 80% of the cost of repairs is worth 80% the value of the car. Then it just doesn't make sense to have the car repaired at that point, and they'll give you the cost for the total loss of the vehicle, plus oftentimes they'll give you the cost for license and tax and license and tax and other related expenses. Which insurance company should you report the damage to? Kind of depends. If it's clearly not your fault, you may want to go directly to the defendant's insurance company and negotiate with them. Oftentimes they're more interested in getting the case resolved quickly and the property damage resolved quickly. Also, you might be able to get a better result. And generally, if you're going to use them for the repairs, you also should use them for the rental coverage or related coverage rather than going back and forth between your insurance company and their insurance company. But there's no set rule on that as far as I'm aware. If you have no collision coverage, well, then you have no choice and you definitely have to go with the other person's insurance company. If the other side doesn't have insurance, for some reason they're driving around with no insurance, then you have no choice and you have to use your insurance company. During the process, if you go with your own insurance company, they're going to maybe ask you to pay the deductible related to the repairs of your car. At this point, if the accident is clear, like there's a police report that clearly shows the other side is at fault, you can ask the other side to, or you can ask your insurance company to waive the deductible. The tow yard, if your vehicle was towed to a tow yard, you want to get it out as soon as possible because it's accruing charges. And one of the first things you want to do is notify the insurance companies that it's at a tow yard, because then they'll be motivated to get it out also. If there's a dispute about coverage or dispute about who's at fault, then you're going to need to get that car out of the tow yard, and you might have to pay the tow charges yourself and recover it later and store the car yourself someplace. And if you're unable to do that, the tow yard's going to take possession of your car and charge you, and it's not good. Which repair shop should you go to? It's helpful to go to a repair shop. If you have an independent one that you trust, that could be helpful. The insurance company repair shops tend to do an okay job. Sometimes they may try to get not standard parts or something like that. I've heard that people complaining about that. Also, sometimes the insurance repair shops or the repair shop affiliated with the insurance company may try to avoid doing some work because they're trying to save money for the insurance company. If you feel that's the case, you can absolutely get another estimate or independent estimate. If there's a liability dispute, you definitely want to try to get the police report, so that way you can analyze the police report and show them that you're not at fault. But if the police report's against you, then you're going to have a kind of an uphill battle because the insurance adjuster is not going to be on your side, neither of them, and they're going to, if you don't have your own collision coverage, you could be in trouble, not get your car repaired. What if the driver that is not listed on the policy? Usually, if the driver is not listed on the policy, the driver still can have coverage, especially if they were driving to do something for you. But some people may be specifically excluded, so you want to be careful about that. If you were driving someone else's car and borrowed it with their consent, you may be covered, but you may also have coverage through your own insurance. So you got to double check the policies. If it was a hit and run, then you're going to kind of be stuck with your own insurance company if they never found that other person, and hopefully you have collision coverage. Getting repair estimates and total loss. So when you get your vehicle examined, sometimes the repair shop will give you an estimate, and sometimes the insurance company will take that estimate and just elect to fix your car rather than do a total loss. And so you want to kind of be careful about that. Talk to the mechanic, ask them if it makes sense to do the repairs given the extent of damage to your vehicle. And if you're not sure, go to an independent mechanic shop and have them evaluate it. Like I said before, a total loss is when the cost of repairs is more than the value of the vehicle. And sometimes the total loss could be even just a percentage, like a very high percentage though, like 80%. Meanwhile, you're going to be talking to the insurance company about getting rental coverage because your vehicle is in the shop and you need a vehicle to get around. And typically you're going to be talking to the insurance company that you're asking to repair the vehicle. So if you started with the other side's insurance company, then you should probably stick with them. If there's no visible property damage, sometimes there's damage that's hidden on the vehicle and you want to document that, photograph it, because it could become a problem later in your injury case, particularly if it's like a very minor damage to the bumper. Sometimes there's underlying damage, and you can ask the repair shop to take the bumper off and examine it. And they may even want to charge you for that, but the insurance company should cover that because they should be looking for even hidden damage. New paragraph. Leased cars and total loss. You want to make sure that the car that if you have a leased vehicle and it's clearly a total loss, you still have to make payments on the car, unfortunately. But you definitely want to get that total loss evaluation as quickly as possible, and then submit it to the insurance company so that they can pay it off and get that car, that debit off your books as soon as possible. If you don't pay the payments, the insurance company you may end up in default, and you don't want credit issues along with everything else. After the car is deemed a total loss, you can get the car. They'll deduct the salvage value of the car, and then you can, whatever you want to do with the car, get it repaired yourself or try to sell it parts. Otherwise, they will keep the car. They'll take the car and handle all that. Other property damage. Sometimes people have car seats, like baby car seats, that can't be reused after they've been in a car accident, so you should get reimbursed for that. Or if you have like a laptop or computers or a phone or something that gets damaged in the vehicle, you need to document it, photograph it, try to find the receipt when you bought it, all of that, so that way later you can recover those costs. Diminution of value, I mentioned earlier, is that drop in the value of your vehicle from the time that you purchased it to the accident, and what the accident, basically it's what the accident, the damage that was caused to the vehicle as a result of the accident, the drop in value. And the way you figure that out is you have an appraiser look at the vehicle and say, okay, the vehicle was worth X, but now that it was in a car accident, it's worth Y. And then they do some analysis and show a demonstration of that. Pretty much because you have to pay an expert, this appraiser, to prepare the report. It could be a couple $100. It only really makes sense on higher end vehicles. Could make sense on more medium vehicles, but not on like low end cars. Loss of use is sort of like rental, the damage for your inability to use the vehicle. You can settle your property damage claim separate from your injury claim. And that's typically how I do it, and I recommend you do it so that way you get the property damage claim resolved and you can continue getting treatment and move on and get a new car or get your car repaired. They may send you a release or a document to sign. You need to sign it, review it very carefully so that you don't accidentally sign anything that waives or releases your injury claim. So you definitely need to review that carefully. But technically the property and the injury claims, those are separate claims. If you have any questions or are looking for more free resources, visit my website, howelljustice.com.